Okay, D, now tell me what you see on your screen. What does that look like to you?
Okay, just 1 second. Let me move the mouse.
Okay.
Okay, no sex.
You can look at it for a moment. You don't have to rush.
Uh,
Well, let me ask you this. What's your first impression? The first impression that pops into your mind.
uh, First impression in your mind that I see I'm focusing on the black marks,
Mm-hmm.
but I know there is something hidden behind it. So I gotta look backwards, looking into the whites, and it says no sex drives me nuts. No, it says no sex. I just had it and I forgot. Causes. Hold on a second. No sex. Bad. No sex. There we go. No sex causes bad eyes.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, let me do something. Okay, now, look at it again. And if you're in a position where you can't, I want you to back up away from your computer screen and tell me when the message becomes perfectly clear to your eyes.
Well, right now I can say it because I do know what it is.
Okay, great, great.
I mean, I'm about 5 feet away from a computer.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why you had an easier time seeing it in the first place. I see. Okay, but I do this because this is a perfect example of how we look at charts, or how most people look at charts. Because most people can't see the message in there, and it's for the reason you just said. When I asked you for your first impression, you said that okay, you were looking at the black. And see, that's what we all do because that's our expectation. Our expectation is when we see a white background, we're looking for black letters. And so that's just from our whole life of indoctrination. And that's just another lesson for us that tells us that what the scientists tell us, we can only see what we expect to see. And so, for instance, if you're looking at the chart, and you have an idea of how you think trading should go and how the market should go, well, you're going to see what you expect to see. And this is why a lot of times that it may not just be my approach or my system, or it may be any approach that a lot of people investigate certain approaches, but they can't release the approach they had. And then also, too, notice how when we get close to the screen, we can't see the message, but the farther we zoom out, okay, the more clear the message comes, okay, and this is why another reason why we can't see when we're close to the screen. That's like street level. Look at those, the spaces between those letters. Look at those as streets, okay. Now our eyes are so focused on street level, walking around, that we have to find our way around. But now, if we get in a helicopter or a plane and zoom out, well, the message becomes clear because now we're looking at the landscape. We're not looking at the streets, okay? And that's the difference between knowledge and gnosis, because a man can walk these streets and have knowledge and intimate knowledge of these streets, but an eagle, which does not have the mind of a man, can see these streets much better because the eagle can rise above and look down. And so that's what you want to do on your charts. And see here, this is a mid-level view, okay? We would look at this. That's a street level view. Okay, yes, street level views are important, but first we want to look at the map. We want to know what the landscape is. So this may look like this is not telling us a lot, but it's telling us everything it's telling us more so than that street level, because now we know the terrain, the landscape, the geography. So now we can really truly go to work. You have any comments on what I just said, D?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, great. So now, the first thing I want to talk to you about today is the closing range. Okay, now let me give us an intermediate view here. Now, these are our period separators for the close of the trading day. And for me, where I am, the close of the trading day will be the bar that closes at 2400 GMT. Okay, and this bar here. So this is today's, and this is a live chart we're looking at, and this is yesterday. Okay, so this is yesterday's closing range. This is the 1 hour chart. The closing range is the range of the 1 hour bar that closed the day. So the 2300 GMT bar, that would be the bar. Okay, so the high and the low of that range, of that bar, is the closing range. And so we want to identify that and put our trend lines there, or our our lines, blah, blah, blah. I know sometimes I'm silly, Derek, but I just like to keep it. I'm a real person. I'm no guru or anything. I'm just a silly kid, an old silly kid. Okay. So now we have our high marked and our low. So now, at the beginning of each trading day, okay, this is what keeps us on the right side of the market. Okay. When we have a breakout above the high of the closing range, our bias is long, and we're looking only for long signals. When we get a close below the closing range, okay, we're only looking for short. Okay, so we're only looking for short signals, and this is how it works. And just like anything, okay, what's our rules for any support or resistance level? Our reaction cycle, correct? There, D? Hello? Okay.
Yes.
So what we have here on the opening bar, now this is the first bar that opened the day, okay? Now this is the opening range. You have the closing range, which is the bar that closed the day, the 1 hour bar. Then you have the opening range, which is the range of the bar that opened the day. Now there's a technique for trading the opening range too, okay, and it goes hand in hand with the closing range. But for right now, we're going to focus on the closing range. Okay, so now, as we can see, what happened here today is that, okay, here's our closing range. We have a breakout above closing range. Okay, now to validate that breakout, we need to see higher volume. So let's pull up our volume. Okay, indeed, we did have higher volume here. So that's a valid breakout of the closing range to start the day. Okay, so then breakout, reaction bars next. Okay, the reaction bar came and tested the low range of the closing range bar. Okay, so now on the reaction, okay, because now we have our signal here. Our signal is long. Now on the reaction is also called a test. Okay, and one of the main things we want to look for on a reaction after a breakout is a low volume reaction, meaning the test bar or the reaction bar, we want to see it having low volume, because if the reaction bar has lower volume, it confirms the strength of the breakout bar. And then we also look into the strong and weak bars. Okay, we can see that this bar here also had, it didn't have lower volume. It had higher volume, but it's a strong bar because it did not close below the low of the prior bar. Okay, if we have higher volume, remember, okay, we should have a reversal bar. anytime you have a higher volume on a bar, okay, if it's a continuation bar, it should close above the high of the prior bar. Okay, if it has higher volume and it's a red bar or against the current direction, okay, then it should be a reversal bar. And if it's not, okay, then that's strength to the current position, which in this case is up. And so here's where we go here. Okay, we're up. Now, what the closing range breakout tells you on a typical day is that after that breakout, okay, now we want to know where we want to set our target, right? Okay, we already know that our stop, no matter how we're trading, we want to put our stop below the last low, the most recent low here, okay? But our target, okay, we want to target the next high, the last high, okay? If we were looking long, okay, we will be targeting the low, okay? So as we can see here, the opening range once again played out, and once you start going back on your charts, you'll see how it plays out day after day. Okay, so we're coming up here. We had a breakout here. It looks like we're coming back down. And now, this is very important. The London Open, the 2 a.m. Bar, my time. Let me mark it on here. Okay, that's the 2 a.m. bar my time, or 0700 GMT time, or the start of the London trading. Now, on a typical day, at the start of London trading, what the market will attempt to do is come back down and test the closing range if the closing range has not been tested. So what I'm saying to you is that at 2 a.m. or the London Open, look and see where price is, okay? If it has not tested the closing range before it went up here and reversed, then that's the target. What it wants to do is test that closing range, okay? Now, the only thing that'll stop it from coming back and testing this closing range is if this support is very strong here. So on the way back down, we need to see a close within here to signal that we're going to go ahead and continue down and test the closing range.